Hook and setup. An ancient legend returns, and this time it's hunting back. That's the chilling promise behind Sam Weinman's 2025 film, Hag. As both writer and director, Weinman crafts a tense fusion of horror, thriller, and drama, exploring obsession and survival in a way that demands your full attention. With a runtime that allows for deep character work alongside escalating dread, Hag stakes its claim as a fresh addition to the modern horror landscape. It's not just about scares. It's an intense psychological duel wrapped in supernatural undertones, anchored by a strong cast led by Ryan DeVilliers and Jane DeWett. Today, we're diving into why this film matters, how it balances its genre elements, and what makes it stand out in a crowded field of thrillers that revolve around haunted pasts and deadly fixations. Premise and context. At its core, Hag presents a deceptively simple premise. Rowan, after a decade apart, rents his spare room to Mag, a self-proclaimed hag whose obsession with him escalates into a life-or-death confrontation. This setup situates the film firmly within the horror-thriller territory, but with a dramatic undercurrent that promises real emotional stakes beyond jump scares. Released in 2025, it arrives amid a surge of genre films that blend psychological tension with supernatural lore, aiming to satisfy both thriller fans and horror aficionados. The film also taps into a growing appetite for character-driven horror, where the monster isn't just an external force, but deeply entangled with human psychology. In the current landscape, where streaming platforms and theaters compete for fresh, intelligent horror content, Hag carves out a niche with its intense, claustrophobic atmosphere and the story that feels both personal and mythic. Direction and visual style. Sam Weinman's direction in Hag leans heavily into creating an oppressive, intimate visual style that mirrors the psychological grip Mag has on Rowan. Known for his measured pacing and attention to framing, Weinman uses tight compositions to emphasize the claustrophobia of shared spaces. The cramped spare room becomes a battleground, the camera often lingering on small, unsettling details that hint at deeper menace. The color palette likely favors muted, earthy tones, punctuated by stark contrasts when tension peaks, crafting a visual rhythm that oscillates between eerie calm and sudden bursts of dread. Camera movements are deliberate. Slow tracking shots build suspense, while quicker cuts escalate chaos during confrontations. Editing choices probably work to unnerve the viewer subtly, using rhythm to reflect the protagonist's unraveling control. Overall, Weinman's style in Hag appears designed to immerse the audience in a psychological nightmare, balancing visual storytelling with escalating tension. Direction and visual style. Continued. Weinman's handling of genre conventions also deserves attention. Instead of relying on overt horror tropes, he seems to prefer suggestion and atmosphere, allowing the supernatural elements to linger on the edge of perception. This restrained approach heightens suspense and lends credibility to the thriller aspects, making each moment of horror feel earned rather than gratuitous. The interplay between light and shadow is crucial, often framing Mag in ways that amplify her unpredictable presence. The director also uses spatial dynamics cleverly. Shared domestic spaces become zones of unease, reinforcing the idea that danger can lurk in the most familiar places. This visual strategy, combined with a tight editing rhythm, not only enhances the film's tension, but also supports the dramatic undercurrents that elevate Hag beyond conventional genre fare. Performances and ensemble. The casting of Ryan DeVilliers and Jane DeWett sets a strong foundation for Hag. DeVilliers, known for his ability to convey layered vulnerability, brings a grounded intensity to Rowan, the man caught between past wounds and present peril. Jane DeWett, portraying Mag, likely delivers a complex performance that balances menace with a haunting fragility. Her self-identification as a hag suggests a character steeped in myth and obsession, requiring a nuanced portrayal that avoids caricature. The supporting cast, including Adore Delano, Darren Meyer, Matthew Vey, and Francis Sholto Douglas, rounds out the ensemble with performances that presumably add texture and depth to the narrative world. Early impressions point to a chemistry that oscillates between tension and reluctant connection, crucial for sustaining the film's emotional stakes. Given the film's intimate scale, the actors' ability to inhabit their roles with authenticity is key to maintaining audience investment through moments of escalating threat. Performances and ensemble. Continued. Weinman's direction likely gives the cast space to explore the psychological complexity of their characters, resulting in performances that feel both raw and controlled. The dynamic between Rowan and Mag is the film's emotional and narrative core, and the success of Hag depends largely on how convincingly that tension is conveyed. Supporting roles, while not central, probably contribute important narrative beats and help build the world around the main conflict. Overall, the ensemble's synergy appears to be one of the film's strengths, offering viewers a compelling human drama amidst the horror and thriller elements. Writing, structure, and themes. As both writer and director, Sam Weinman crafts a narrative that seems to focus on obsession, identity, and the haunting nature of past relationships. The story's structure likely unfolds through a tight, escalating confrontation, building from uneasy cohabitation to a life-or-death showdown. Thematically, Hag appears to explore how legends and personal demons intertwine, with Mag's self-proclaimed Hag identity serving as both a supernatural and psychological symbol. The writing probably balances moments of quiet introspection with sudden bursts of violence and tension, maintaining a steady rhythm that keeps viewers on edge. The film's drama-thriller core suggests an interest in character psychology as much as external threat, examining how obsession can consume and transform. This layered approach to theme and structure is what sets Hag apart from straightforward horror films, offering a more nuanced exploration of fear and fixation. Writing, structure, and themes. The screenplay likely uses Rowan's decade-long separation from Mag as a structural device to layer mystery and emotional complexity. This gap allows for flashbacks or revelations that complicate the narrative without spoiling the core suspense. Based on the premise, the film probably resists clear-cut moral judgments, instead immersing the audience in a morally ambiguous space where victim and aggressor blur. This thematic ambiguity enhances the thriller aspect, making every interaction fraught with uncertainty. In sum, the writing seems to embrace complexity, making Hag not just a story about a supernatural legend, but a psychological study of obsession's corrosive power. Franchise and comparisons. Hag stands as an original property rather than part of an existing franchise, which gives it room to define its own rules and tone. However, it naturally invites comparison to other horror thrillers that blend folklore with psychological drama. Films like The Witch or The Babadook come to mind, where the supernatural serves as a metaphor for internal struggles. Unlike high-concept heist or spectacle-driven thrillers, Hag prioritizes intimate tension and character-driven conflict. It's less about elaborate plot twists or flashy set pieces and more about sustained unease and emotional complexity. This positions it for audiences who appreciate horror that lingers in the mind rather than just jolts the senses. The film's focus on a singular, obsessive relationship also sets it apart from broader ensemble thrillers, offering a claustrophobic, intense experience that demands close attention. Franchise and comparisons. In the context of 2020's genre cinema, Hag fits into a wave of films that reinterpret ancient myths through a modern psychological lens. It's less about external spectacle and more about internal terror, making it a cousin to recent independent horror hits that trade on atmosphere and character depth. This approach contrasts sharply with blockbuster horror franchises that rely heavily on jump scares or franchise lore. For viewers seeking a film that melds thriller pacing with horror's emotional resonance, Hag promises a distinctive voice. It's a film that trusts its audience to unpack layered performances and subtle directorial choices, rather than delivering a straightforward narrative or predictable scares. The things to find intelligent, atmospheric horror thrillers with strong character work. Fans of psychological dramas and slow-burning dread will find much to appreciate here. Those expecting traditional horror thrills or action-heavy sequences might find the film's deliberate pacing and emphasis on emotional nuance less immediately satisfying. The strengths lie in Weinman's focused direction, the committed performances from de Villiers and DeWitt, and a script that explores obsession with a rare complexity. Potential weaknesses could include a narrower appeal due to its introspective tone and the risk that its subtlety might frustrate those looking for more overt scares. Overall, Hag is worth the stream for anyone interested in horror that doubles as a character study, offering a fresh, unsettling take on ancient myth meeting modern trauma. Who it's for and overall take continued. If you appreciate films that prioritize atmosphere and psychological depth over spectacle, Hag will resonate. It's not designed for casual horror fans seeking quick thrills or straightforward narratives. Instead, it demands engagement, rewarding viewers who enjoy unpacking symbolism and tension rooted in human relationships. In short, Hag stands as a compelling, if challenging, addition to 2025's horror thriller offerings, one that will stick with you long after the credits roll. So, when an ancient legend hunts back, it's not just about fear. It's about what fear reveals in us. Hag uses this premise to probe the darkest corners of obsession and survival with precision and care. If you're drawn to horror that lingers in the mind as much as it unsettles in the moment, Sam Weinman's film deserves your attention. Thanks for watching this deep dive on Hag here at Cut to Reel. If you want more sharp, no-nonsense film analysis, you know where to find us. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your lights on. Thanks for watching Cut to Reel. I'll see you next time for another look beneath the surface of cinema's best.